Yeah.
Everybody took the chairs out of the room anyway, to sit outside and have coffee.
Yeah, but they put it back.
Yeah, anymore.
They put two back.
They'll drag it
I
back.
didn't bring it.
They're very good about that.
That's fine.
Bring it off, but that's what you said.
Anybody else need an agenda? No. Can you do one of the also the birthdays?
All right.
Ready?
As good as it's gonna get this morning.
All right, 9 o'clock. We got a lot to cover, so and no meeting next month. So we'd love to try and get everything done today. Call to order. Meeting of the PPAC Landscaping Subcommittee. First thing we do is pledge of allegiance with the south side. Okay, south side, that's south side. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I see no sign-in sheet.
Right here.
It's coming.
I got you.
You got
Okay, roll call.
You can
Mark
leave it on that
Eversman
table.
here.
I'm sorry, Susan Atkinson here.
Vince Pagetto here.
Cindy Watterson here. Sherry Briscoe here.
Kathleen Anderson here.
You got Daniel Potter from Gateway Services.
Bob Gephardt, GSCDD. Marty from PPAC Board. Ed Hughes from PPAC.
Hedges.
Okay, sorry. From PPAC Board.
Again, thank you, Secretary.
Maxine Hanson, Trevino Estates.
Okay,
Hedges and landscaping. That'll be an easy one to remember.
all right.
It's the bushes outside your house.
We have a quorum, so we're going to proceed. First up is public comment, which is Maxine Hanson has something she would like to say.
Thank you. I sent a request to the GSCDD regarding the Trentino Estates Bridge. It's falling in disrepair. It's very bad for a paint job, but I do understand that the painting's being pushed off till January. But I have photos on my phone that I would have brought my iPad that I could pass around so you can see how bad it looks. We decorate this bridge every holiday, Memorial Day, Veterans Day, Christmas, and Trentino Estates is a very, I want to say prestigious community. We have I think we have the largest homes. And I just think that because we're in the back corner over there, we might be getting not a lot of visibility. So I'd like to pass my phone so you could take a look at these pictures. And my questions are, number one, I understand that the Pelican Preserve Advisory Committee is going to be do painting, but is the GSCDD pushing off the repair? And the repair I'm talking about is the base of the columns have flagstone. Some of the flagstones coming out needs to have cement work, and it also has some railings. And I don't think the landscaping committee should be in charge of the repair.
Well, I don't know that we are. Is that safety and security or is that land?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it'd fall into this lane.
Okay.
It's ours. It's the only one, but
Okay.
Okay,
Yeah.
here, I mean,
Well-
you could pass them around, and if you go there's a couple of there's 4 or 5, they're really bad looking. And there's big pieces. Some people go over there just to walk and bicycle and whatever, but
Is it a driveway?
that's-
bridge? I'm not familiar with
Yes.
it. Oh, yeah.
it's the first exit, Villa Trentino, so you should come in, go all the way down to the very end.
You go over water, but it's not a bridge. It's along the state line.
Yeah,
there's land that goes
Yeah,
underneath it.
we have
It's
it
essentially a
15
bridge, but
feet.
there's land that you can get all the way around.
Right.
right, but there is a 3-foot diameter
Can you evaluate that?
tube that goes under the bridge
You
to
need get
connect the
somebody
ponds.
to-
That's just repair.
I mean, if you look
and
at, there's 2 or
maintenance
3 of
on
them
it.
that look
I'll
really
probably
bad.
have to get a contractor to come in and do the brickwork type stuff.
Yeah, the brick looks like.
But
Just because that is a
I
rather
think that's
large.
Is that the landscaping?
Yeah, it
committee?
is. It is.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
You're in the right place.
because
I'm in the
it's-
right place.
You're in the right place.
Here's what we're gonna do. Daniel will take a look at it
Okay,
and he'll evaluate what needs to be done. And if we have to get a contractor in, he will work on getting bids and
All
taking
right.
care of it.
And Maxine, everyone in this room are residents except for Daniel. Daniel is an employee. He's the public works manager at the GSCDD. But you're in the right place. So Daniel's the right guy to get it. Once it hits our agenda, it stays there until it's completed.
I sent to them, they said they forwarded a ticket to you and that was the reason why I showed
You're
up.
in the right place.
No, I mean, it will be addressed. We'll take a look at it and see what we can do. Since it's another one that I didn't know that was on.
So this bridge right here is,
That's not ours. We don't have that.
that's the
That's
golf
golf.
course.
All right, Georgia did not put the minutes from the last meeting in the packet, so.
Okay, I'll make sure I get them to you.
Can we still approve them and
You
sign
can.
them at a later date?
Yes.
Does anybody have any comments on the meeting minutes from October?
Nope.
Do I have a motion to approve those minutes?
Vince Pagetto, I motion to approve the minutes.
Cindy Watterson, second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion approved unanimously.
I don't know if we had the minutes. That might be the problem because it's not even on the agenda.
Well, approval of minutes is on the agenda.
Yeah.
That's a placeholder, but
Right.
there's normally there's an A underneath it and it tells you which month they have for approval.
I thought I saw an email too.
She might have sent it out via email, but I not shown in the actual agenda, so didn't make the agenda.
Okay, next up is the financials, which were attached in the agenda packet, but also there's no copy here to look at physically. In looking at the financials, we have adequate funds. That's not a concern. My only concern is, a lot is going into one line item, which is a kind of a miscellaneous landscape and other. And so that particular line item is going to run short of cash, but we can move cash from another area into that. And we typically run short on utilizing all of our tree trimming funds. So at this point, I would like to make a motion to allocate $50,000 out of tree trimming into the landscape, R&M, and other. Go ahead. Do I?
Second.
Is
Susan
it-
Atkinson, I motion to.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions about this? I mean, the money is there. It's just a matter where it comes from. And actually, the biggest reason is because we did the drip irrigation on all the monuments. And that was $17,000, and that all came out of there, which is a large amount too.
Did we get all the monuments? No.
There is one on Karina that they missed that will be done.
Okay.
There is a ticket on.
Mark, I have a motion. I have a second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion passes unanimously.
We have a financial report to review.
It is. It's in
It
the,
runs in the agenda packet.
the beauty of switching up, not having the projector.
Oh.
So it is in the agenda.
And
Right now you have 67.5% of budget remaining across the entire budget line.
Okay.
So-
so one line item area was the only one we were.
Can you reiterate that motion just so I can,
To allocate funds from the tree trimming line item into the landscaping R&M other line.
how
item.
much?
50,000.
$50,000.
Couple points on your budget. You had 294,000 and change carryover or unspent in 23.
Correct.
PPAC is going to claw that back to help fund the 25 budget. So that was part of our budget decision to balance the budget, is to pull those reserves. But last year, you underspent your budget, still unaudited, but about 280,000.
Yeah, it's less than that.
So
because
you will still have carryover from 24 into this year.
Correct.
And so you're The other thing, Gateway's going through a reassessment methodology. And it's going to get kind of funky, I think, but as you start looking towards next year's budget, it may become a lot more critical to actually budget things where in the categories that you really think they're going to be spent, because different line items may be allocated differently for the assessment. In the past, it hasn't been, moving money around hasn't been much of an issue, but the 26 budget, it may become an issue that individual line items will be allocated differently. So as you start looking at the beginning of next year for 26 budgeting,
Okay.
I would really start looking at the individual line items. We'll know more by then, but just set the scene.
Okay. Any other questions, discussion on financial?
I just had one question about that. So you're clawing back the net gain
Unspent
from
balance.
2023. Is that correct?
Correct.
And what is it being allocated to specifically?
25 budget, that's the assessments, the non-ad valorem tax assessments to a minimal amount.
Yeah, just Bob Gepper, if I could,
Just to a 3% increase.
but from the big picture and for those that are not familiar with the budget process. We have converted as a community from Castle and KW paying these bills to the district paying the bills. The budget number that initiated the transition was the same budget number that Castle had. Same number that KW had. $1 million, call it $1 million. The actual fact of spending the first year we were independent, we didn't spend near the million, we spent 700,000. So it was a very nice savings attributable to this group. And that's what he's talking about. So when that was over, when that was left, and it was just hanging there, PPAC, in order not to raise rates across the community for a number of things, waterways, administration, safety and security. So they reallocated those surplus funds from that year back into PPAC's control. So it came out of us. For the current budget year, 2024, we're going to have we will have a similar condition, or 25, we're going to have a similar condition, and we fully expect to be another $200,000 or $300,000 under. We may not, but that was the genesis of how the surplus funds got there. We used an old budget, it's judiciously spent, we underspent. Good news for the community. Kudos to this group and to Mark specifically, because he's been saving us a lot of money. And now PPAC said, there's two things they could do. They could leave it alone. It's ours to spend for the future, whatever you want. Or in this particular case, because we had shortfalls, they needed that money back.
If we hadn't used some of those reserves that we had excess funds, we would have been looking at a 15 to 18% increase in the non-ad valorem tax.
Yeah.
For everyone.
I understand that. I guess my question was more specifically to where were you short? Were there specific unexpected expenses in other categories of spending?
In the
I was just curious.
in
It's
the
not,
25 budget,
Just the admin portion of the budget we get allocated from Gateway went up 68%.
and that's what we're,
So rather than, that would have created a.
it's unforeseen and unforeseeable.
increase.
When the district portion of what we had to pay, we didn't get a vote on it. Well, we did, but we lost.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They increased our costs substantially. That was one facet. Another thing that entered into it was a misallocation of cost between shared and the community that enters into that also.
That's going to hit next year.
Well, but it hit this year because we used other money to pay for it.
So that's for the admin bill budget, $250,000 for the access.
So it
so
wasn't
it's
in any of our
effectively,
communities.
because of the change in the way they allocate the expenses for Gateway.
Well, it was, I would rephrase it this way. It was unforeseen cost that the district put on us. that we didn't have control of.
Thank you. Appreciate that explanation.
We are still fighting those costs. We haven't accepted them entirely. And labor is one of it. We talk about it every night, how much we're being charged by the individual service. And we as a community get a report that tells me how many hours, Daniel, we pay for, Chelsea, Laura, the whole gamut of people, and our maintenance crews.
You should be happy I went out on Army stuff for 3 months.
I am, I'm very happy.
Another point on the financials is we'll end up with close to $250,000 left over from last year.
Yeah.
And in order to reward us, they reduced our budget by $100,000 going forward,
They
which I don't foresee as a problem.
reallocated it to other budgets that needed
Okay.
it.
Our budget went down 100,000, which I still don't see an issue going forward from our
Thank
standpoint.
you. Thanks,
It's like if
Arnie.
you don't spend it, somebody's gonna take it.
Mm.
Yeah.
And they did.
Well, yes and no. The underlying principle, and I'll shut up at it, the underlying principle of the money that's collected in our non-ad valorem taxes still comes to Pelican. It doesn't go anywhere else other than administration. We got to pay for his time, but that's it. It's Pelican dollars
Yeah.
in Pelican. We have reserves, got a couple $1 million in reserves. It's still our money.
Yeah.
Regardless of what happens with Rule 6 changes and the new methodology and all that, our money remains our money.
It does. And it typically shifts to pond restoration,
From one
road
project to
rehab.
Yeah.
It's
So
it's
does
going
the
back.
rest Of the GSPDD board agree with that?
Yes,
Oh, okay.
that methodology is in controversy, but not this.
Okay,
And one of the unforeseen things was we're now repairing roads. We never did that before. For 15, 18 years, we never did it. Now we're doing it.
Now,
So last
now it's
year's
due.
budget, we did 2 roads.
Correct.
In this year's budget, we're doing 3.
We did
Depends on-
2.5 last year, and we're trying to sort out the priorities.
Yeah.
There was an engineering report that was put out over roadways from Tetra Tech. There's a sanity check with actually people on the ground going and doing an assessment as roadways change with wear and tear, and then prioritizing those with the Safety and Security Committee. So
But it's not, we're spending more money. We got new things to spend.
So in a nutshell, our group is doing well.
Yeah.
And we are helping the other groups.
Doing very well.
All right, first agenda item, Pelican Preserve entrance signs and travertine painting. Bruce was going to take that. And Bruce is not able to be here. So he attached were quotes, but I had some questions on them. And unless we can talk to Bruce about it, I guess I would table this until.
Try and reach one of them.
No, he's in PT.
is this the tile?
Yeah.
yes, that's the
And
that soapstone travertine
His only,
tile that's up on the
Landscape
back.
meeting?
yeah, actually, one of my main questions is what color was it gonna be? Because the first quotes we got, it was just a clear coat, which is not what we were seeking. We're seeking to make them with the same color scheme that we already are utilizing. So I just want to confirm that that's the way it's gonna be. So we'll table that unless Bruce joins us later
Okay,
or until the meeting
might
in
jump
January.
in at 10 o'clock.
Okay, he might.
I will say on that item before you move on, that is a very difficult thing to paint. Because it's semi-porous and it's semi-high gloss. So as soon as you slap paint or stain on it, every person that I've talked to that's a professional painter really doesn't want to touch it because they won't warranty it.
Well, Bruce
Can they
found
sand
three
it?
supposedly that will.
Now, they could sand
Mhm.
and then still then you just make it porous. And I don't know
Right.
what it's gonna, I can't tell you what it's gonna
Right.
look like when they
Right.
finish with it. Or they could remove it, hit it with some different stucco or some sort of background and then paint over that. So there's some options. I wouldn't stucco
Can
over
they-
tile. No.
Can they get the thin tile? Has anybody looked at a tile? I don't know.
Why
what
why don't
it's
we
called.
table it until?
But
Yeah.
Oh,
let's
okay.
see, let's see what
Okay.
Bruce has come up with.
Sorry.
before
All right.
we Try and resolve this. So we'll wait and see if Bruce joins us later. Next on the agenda, Sherry Brusco has finished areas of inspection responsibility for committee members. I will say Sherry put together an excellent presentation. I did ask her to reduce it to just the appointing for the committee members to save some time, but if anybody ever wants a presentation on the landscape group in general, she has put a lot of work into developing a presentation on this group.
And another, and also that presentation is really good for orientation.
Okay,
for new committee members because it goes through a lot of information and history and background and stuff like that. So, yeah, it's a little long, but it's a good document to use. So, but I don't know if anybody reviewed the zones that I'm proposing. And within the zones, everybody would be assuming a zone except for Mark, because he oversees the whole Pelican Preserve. The only thing I suggest and recommend is that the person who gets a zone, it would not be the zone they live in, because we want to be fair across the board on taking care of that area.
Does everybody have copies of this?
It was in the packet,
Okay, so it's in the packet.
but I did print out if
Okay,
everybody
everybody
looks.
Do you want to go through each zone and who you're recommending for assignments?
Yeah, we could do that.
I've looked at it. And
You're on this side of the table. You might be able to see my screen.
You have
Right now.
recommendations as to who would take
No.
those on?
On the page.
Uh,
Looking for volunteers.
Yes, I would just think everybody would look. I could take the front gate and the front road. So
Right.
that's not in my zone.
So zone 1 is defined according to the thing here, tree line Boulevard, Colonial Boulevard past the Pelican Preserve entryway, Pelican Preserve Boulevard to Trieste Drive intersection up to but not including Monument 2. And it includes the front entryways, Guard Gate, and Monument 1.
So that's what it looks like.
Mhm.
And we got a volunteer?
I'll take it.
Carrie said she would do that
Sure.
one.
The most difficult.
Well, I live in, it's not in that, it's zone
Right.
2. I live in zone 2, so that one is probably easiest.
All right. Zone 2.
Zone 2 is outlined as Trieste Drive, beginning at Monument 2 and north of Trieste Drive. It includes Aviano, Treviso, Trieste, Trentino Estates, Monticello, Ravenna, and Tuscana. Or Tuscana.
Monticello?
So everything, basically.
Okay.
I can take that if no one wants to.
Okay. Kathleen will take zone 2. Zone 3.
I can do zone 3.
This is moving well.
Zone 4
I'll do
is
zone 4.
Cindy Watterson for zone 4. Zone 5. It's either Vince or Bruce.
Me.
All right, Vince is zone 5. Bruce is zone 6 unless
By
Yes.
default,
That's
actually
how it is when you don't come to the
Well,
meeting. I'm just
that's
teasing.
close to where Bruce lives anyway.
Okay.
We'll figure on that. Just so everybody knows, I walk everywhere except tree line, usually at least every other week, if not every week. And so
Really?
all I'm saying.
Thank you.
Very good.
Thank you, Sherry.
You're
Excellent job.
Thank you.
You got to put a ticket in on everything, or you've got a 25% chance on it being done. And if you see does everybody here see the tickets? Okay, so we've got that utilized. You'll see I'm pounding Ameriscape with tickets, and they are responding. So
So question, I came along after the discussion to create these zones was developed. And what is our responsibility? If I'm assigned to zone 3, what is my,
what I look for is you go down, and if the plants are starting to grow over the sidewalk, which is a problem in a few areas, that they just don't trim them back.
encroach.
okay,
There, you put in a ticket and say these have to be trimmed off the sidewalk. That's all there is to it. And later on in today's meeting, we're going to talk about new plantings. And I really want to make sure that we are getting our warranty money worth out of these plantings. So as we plant new things, you have to keep an eye on it. We have 1 year warranty on everything. So if anything dies, I want to get it replaced before that 1 year warranty is up. If you just believe an area needs attention, that you would hopefully bring to me or this group, and then we will decide whether or not we need to do something there, such as pull out an area of bushes, put in new bushes, whatever.
so, in each of our zones, will it be communicated to us what areas are new plantings so that you can specifically?
Well, we're gonna talk
You
about
learn
it.
that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And if you're walking it once a week or whatever, you'll see.
Okay,
As well as you're going to want to familiarize yourself with the Ameriscape contract just to know what is inside the bounds for them.
And if you have any questions, just
And if you
ask.
go for, if you go for a ride at night, irrigation.
yeah.
The
That's the
But
other
you're-
thing.
we all have
Irrigation,
flags.
and I
yeah.
have flags if you need some flags. We're all
Irrigation
given some
is an
flags.
ongoing concern, which they do address,
Let's connect.
but you have to notify them and it helps to be very specific on where the problem is.
And this is gonna be evolution. Basically, and Cindy did a great job on this, but all the, Sherry, all the landscaping, the plants, the trees, the mowing, sprinkler heads that our current vendor takes care of, you just submit a ticket if you see something wrong. Additionally, you're gonna have oversight. So if there's things that you want to make a proposal, bring them back in here if it's not a ticket item. Hopefully, everybody will be able to go through their zone maybe once a week. Not a big deal. Just ride to it and see what you see. And if we need flags to supplement the ticket you put out, we'll provide those times.
For those,
I expect this to be changing and
Yeah.
fluid.
for those not familiar with the ticket system, you can attach a photo to your ticket, which really helps a lot to get them to address what you want.
That's great.
Another thing to keep an eye on in your zone,
Yeah.
familiarize yourself where all the irrigation boxes are, because
Oh,
did we repair them yet?
Yeah, I was here for that discussion about,
So,
Okay, if they're repaired, look at them and then look at them again when they chop them up and catch them right away. Because we got to the point where it's dozens and dozens were wrecked and we had to pay for them. And it's not our lawnmowers cutting them up, it's them.
Okay.
So
Thank
catch them quick and we'll get it repaired quick and free.
that map again, I just want to take a shot of it.
There you
Put it,
have it.
I can keep it in my phone that way and then I know where I'm supposed to be.
so
I think you
pick up
passed
when the
that
tickets
there.
come out, take a
Yeah.
look, because I'm gonna keep submitting tickets on things
Oh,
as I
thank
see
you.
them. So I don't want to double down on tickets, which we have done in the past, when they usually catch up to 2 tickets are submitted.
So the only missing piece, this is Sherry, the only missing piece is I would like to get a schedule of the watering from Ameriscape. So I know what nights, like the front gate is going to go off. So I can go out that night. And if I see anything or things going into the street and hitting cars, I could put a flag.
There used to be a schedule they had even for each community, but
Correct.
they aren't. It's not
They-
scheduled.
They modified, Javier had modified them all because I know in the front, Aviano, we went from 4 nights watering to 2-night watering, and that was very recent. So I'm not too sure
Yeah, they get
what all the
dropped, so
scheduling, they did by
notices
sections
from
now.
the state.
We've only ever had 2.
Yeah.
Well, then that's all we have.
Yeah.
Mark, do you want to chase that down? Or you?
I think didn't we get that schedule? I know we were hammering on them to get it.
They used to have,
Honestly, can't remember.
Ameriscape used to have the day. I mean, because Javier gave it to me one time, even with the main, like the day, the rotors or the sprinklers would go.
Can I take that? from the-
Sure.
Yeah, he should be able to pull it up in his
Well,
I'll get it.
that was part of the contract,
system.
and we've been hammering on them, Chelsea as well, to get that. And they kind of put it off, and they finally said, okay.
The big thing for us was getting the zones, the watering zones that they had. I don't know if it was a watering schedule, so.
Okay.
We ought to have both.
Yeah,
And
we
then
should have
Cindy Watterson, will it be posted to the SharePoint then?
Once I get it, I'll go back to Mark. Then we'll figure out how to do it.
I'll get it on this. I'll get it on SharePoint.
Okay.
Well, I love Daniel doing it. But remember, folks, we're a volunteer group. We pay him when we do it. That's why we really want to have volunteers do it.
Do we have any other questions regarding the assignment of zones? If you
Um,
do, just ask.
We just want to mention too, if you're like driving through and you see something in someone else's zone, what do? Do we put the ticket in?
Mm-mm.
You know,
I would think
mean,
not, because we've just
we
been
talked
assigned
about that.
zones.
Yeah, but we talked about that
but
we
then
should.
you're-
Me, I'd
Yes.
put a ticket in,
right.
because especially if it's irrigation,
Mhm.
you never know if somebody's gonna actually be able to get out there at the correct time when they're gonna witness that.
I agree with Mark, because what ends up happening is the HR side of the house from Ameriscapes, they look for duplicates. And then when they do identify duplicate entries, they cancel out one to say that it's already been captured on another. So it won't
Yeah.
hurt
Okay.
to put
Yeah.
in a
Right.
second.
Better to tell them twice than
Yep.
never once.
Yeah, and another thing, we're all, on vacation or going places and there might be, an irrigation. So
Yep.
I would think the
Irrigation is the
duplication.
main thing.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Everybody could use more than one set of eyes on.
So Mark, I know at when the Ameriscape changed the irrigation times, it notified all the HOA presidents who didn't notify all the residents, but you might want to bring this up at the president's meeting. If all the presidents got notified
Put you on speaker.
of the irrigation times. Because I know my HOA president got notified, but
Okay.
he just didn't tell the residents.
And as the zones mature, we publish who's got what zone. Share that with the presidents also. There's a lot of communities have landscaping groups in their community. Might want to interface with those people, just make them aware of what we're doing. Other eyes to help us.
Bruce is now part of it.
Okay. Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. You had a
When you're
question?
talking about irrigation, I'm on the irrigation task force committee. And what we did is we went out through the whole community to find out who has Toro boxes with issues and who has the Rainbird, so to speak, at the back of the property, which is run by the Gateway Water. And because the system is constantly down, constant problems, and the Toro boxes are so old, you cannot buy new parts for them. All you can do is get refurbished. And I went through all this with Fabian, the owner of Ameriscape. Javier is no longer there. And we now have, at your next president's council meeting, we're going to present our findings because we told the presidents they should be putting money in reserves because this is right around the corner that either we're going to have to replace Toro boxes, go to the Rainbird system or something, but it's all going to cost a lot of money.
Irrigation is a bowl of spaghetti. The CDD has responsibilities, golf course have, neighborhoods have responsibilities. PPCA have, and the PPCA is taking the lead on it for all of this. And we'll defer to them, we'll roll as we go forward. This is gonna be a big one, and it's gonna be many years.
All right. So Bruce is on the line now. Bruce, can you present your issue as far as Pelican Reserve entrance signs? Yes.
Before we move on, do you want to make a motion to allow Bruce to participate?
Oh, we have a motion to have Bruce participate in the meeting remotely.
Vince Pagetto seconds the motion.
Due to extraordinary circumstances.
Yeah. Mark Eversman seconds. All in favor, say aye.
Thank you.
Bruce, you're a participant.
Just basically, I just happened to observe the vendor who removed the stains. It was a very simple process, and I think it's very noticeable how well it worked. So, everybody was up in arms that the new paint job was being ruined by the sprinklers, and I guess didn't give us enough time to act on it. So, I think the solution worked. We shouldn't hear any further complaints, and I was amazed how simple a process it was. He basically used like a hand pressure container, sprayed it on, and within minutes the rust disappeared. So I think it's a simple fix until we complete all the sprinkler heads. So I don't think that'll be a concern in the future once we freshly paint the monuments, and if by chance the sprinkler head is not corrected or fixed properly, we have an easy solution to it.
Bruce, can you address the travertine painting issue?
Yes, I'm sorry. I didn't know if that's what you were referring to. So I think it was Nathaniel called me, or Nathan, I forgot. Because there was some confusion regarding what exactly he thought we were looking at versus what he was soliciting. So he did find 3 vendors to bid on the painting of the travertine, so it wouldn't have that awkward looking brown that is there now and has been there. if I read the quotes online, and I think it was CertaPro still in their wording calls it staining of the travertine. The two higher bids say they will prime it and then paint it versus staining. So in my mind, I don't know if CertaPro approached it the wrong way, didn't understand exactly what was needed. But in this case, if CertaPro's solution is to stain it, which is the issue we didn't want to do, because it basically would leave it the same color, the higher bids might win out in this case because they seem to have a handle on exactly what is needed to be done.
Did they give any type of warranty?
The bid that I read. So you guys could read it as well. It's sitting on the agenda. But I didn't see any mention of warranty unless I overlooked it. But they certainly had a solution to the problem. I think Nathan and I decided it would be the same color of white that trims the monument now would be the color that would be used for the tile work. So in this case, the cheaper bid, I don't know, is necessarily the correct bid unless somebody can get back to the CertaPro and define exactly what the process is. Because in my mind, it looks like they were just staining it. So is that, what color stain? But the other ones clearly stated that they have a paint that would go on after they would power wash the tile and then apply the color that we desire.
Bruce, this is Daniel. The scope calls for them to wash, let dry, prep mask, and repair any damages that might need to be repaired, and then roll 2 coats of stain. And I'm not sure the stain's everything that I've seen for pictures on the stain does not look like it's gonna come out great. So it's definitely a different scope. And Nathan put it in here just for everybody to be able to have a secondary option. It's a much cheaper option, but I don't know how well it's going to turn out. Like you stated, the 2 other vendors that gave proposals were doing painting of said tiles. So
Now, we have other monuments that look very similar to the ones that weren't done that have been painted. Did those not have travertine on them?
No.
Okay, because they sure look very similar.
everything that we've had has been on monuments has been some variant of stucco.
Okay.
And or a foam cutout that was treated on the outside.
Okay.
So Daniel, you're saying you did look at those bids and they didn't clarify it in your mind. I mean, this is your field of expertise as opposed to mine. But maybe I misunderstood, but it looked like they had the solution to the problem by, it looked to me like they had some kind of paint that would adhere to the tile. So
what they're going to do is
I read it, but
what they're going to do is
a lot better than me.
typical stonework is they're going to hit it with a primer, which is basically a glue. They roll on a primer coat, make it tacky, and then they come back over top and then they paint that. Might do 2 coats of that to be able to get it to stick all the way through. Typically comes in like a pink or green bottle and it literally looks like a watered down Elmer's glue. They roll that on top of this and or stucco and hope that it adheres. So we can give it a try, but I don't know the longevity of what it's going to be. That's probably why you're seeing in these proposals warranties not being included, because nobody wants to actually come back out in a year to rework this.
Because I don't think they're sure of the adhesion of the bonding primer to the travertine, and that's what's going to cause the problem.
Typically,
it doesn't bond.
Typically, the primer is used for stucco.
Either company ever tried this application before in this type of environment?
Not that Nathan had said to me. No.
I did.
Most of them had come back with other options to say maybe we take it all out, redo the monument, do something different completely. But they said they would paint it if we wanted them to. So if we want to try it, Give me the,
Well, the only alternative is to take it out and do it.
The alternative is to leave it the way it is,
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
doesn't really match the color scheme.
That was, I thought, our concern was that we should, because it's still, yeah, it seems like it's off color, to me at least. Let me ask you, Daniel, you know, when people put crown molding into their homes, you know, sometimes you assume the crown molding is wood, and they come in with like a styrofoam crown molding.
Yep.
That can be painted. Is there a chance we could do something like that over the medallion, or would it be would raise it too much, and it wouldn't be laying flat?
you could do that.
Have you ever seen anything like that?
I've seen that. I just wonder whether or not how thick I'll have to get that styrofoam on there to be able to cover up that travertine. And there's probably going to be some mud work involved in it. It's not just going to be styrofoam. There's definitely going to be some wired lath and or stucco added to it as well.
Styrofoam's not that cheap either.
Yeah, it's not bad.
The molding of it?
No.
Oh, I thought it
I guess at this point, I'm not prepared to go ahead and pull the trigger on it until we find out, hopefully a little bit more what our choices are.
Mhm.
Or at least get a warranty of some sort out of them. So
One of the neighborhoods south on Tree Line that painted their stuff gray, but they left their tan stone on their monument. I don't know if it's Bridgestone or whichever one it was, but you might,
people aren't happy with it.
they've got the same issue down there and they left the stone
yeah,
the same color.
I guess I would like to try again to pursue it and see if anybody can come up with a reasonably priced solution. I don't want to take all that stone out and put something.
Replaced them. How many plaques are you talking about? Are we talking about 4? Are we talking
Oh,
about
no.
10?
Oh, as far as monuments? 3?
The Pelican thing.
No, we're not talking about just the Pelican plaques. We're talking about where the name is as you come in, the whole area behind it.
Oh, I see.
Well, it's more brownish than
Oh,
a gray.
Still tan.
So
Still
this
tan.
might be out there, but have you considered just warming the gray a little bit so that it's not quite so? It's a very cool gray, and then the travertine, I'm assuming, is very warm.
But you have to change it.
Adding a little,
We've already done so much.
I mean, just for the specific signs that are problematic, that are where that contrast is so glaring.
So
It's just a,
monuments ran about $20,000 to paint, less than 6 months ago.
So you're talking about like accenting, maybe in like a little bit
just
of a
warm
different.
up the gray a little.
Yes,
So
I
that
agree.
it can work. I don't know which is cheaper, but it sounds like the aversion to change or the problem is you don't want to spend the money it would take to replace the
And then
travertine.
when do you paint? Every 7 years?
It's every 5,
Every
typically.
5 years. So what if you change the color in 5 years and they want to go back to the brown? Now you got the gray in the back. I mean,
I don't know.
yeah.
I guess I would
we
like
need
to go
put it
back
up.
to these companies and ask for one of some sort. If they won't provide that, tell them to provide a solution that they would want to.
Yeah, I would agree with that, Mark, because I would hate spending good money on a bad solution.
Yes. It won't last.
Does the group want to look at Daniel's proposal of covering it?
Well, that would be something they could propose if they're willing to want.
That would be a bid, yeah. So that might be a secondary. You might look at,
Could we
there might
find
be a
out what that
construction
is?
portion to it. I don't think the painters will actually do the work to it. I might have to find a contractor that'll work on the
What are you
monuments for us,
talking, covering that?
Covering the travertine.
Yeah,
covering the travertine
Right.
with something.
I wondered about that. They also make the real thin
Mhm.
tile pipe.
If we could get a bid on covering it and then with something that we could paint afterwards, that they would want to.
Okay.
That sound fair?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Do we need a motion for that?
No, I got it.
Nope. All right, next topic is fairly short. Discussion of effects of hurricane on plants. We actually came out better than what I thought after I had a chance to walk through. We did lose some plants and we'll address that in the next item, but we lost far fewer than what I thought we did. If anybody knows what yesterday, today, tomorrow's are, they look horrible and they have really come back well. And we have quite a few of those. The burn is starting to disappear from the bushes, so things are rejuvenating themselves, which we kind of thought they would. So I'm actually pleased with how well most of our plantings have done with the hurricane. Does anybody have any questions regarding that?
No, I just noticed though, and of course I was ill some, but people complained that down on Pelican, it happens after, on the boulevard, after a hurricane, sometimes to the Toro system. So when the sprinklers don't go on in water, after the hurricane, all that residue from the wind does what you said, Mark, it affects the plants.
Yeah. Well, most of them are just dried out by that much wind. So you just get a burning appearance on the plants. All right, the next area, I'm not sure how we're going to do in here because of our physical space. But I do have a list of plants that I would like to propose. Some are replacement from the hurricane and some are new plantings just where things need refreshing, in my opinion. So I can try and show them on the map, but it's not going to work very well. I don't think. I can describe where most of them are, if we can go with that route. And I would like to go through, and we can have discussion as we go through, but I would like to make this just one proposal basically and not piecemeal it all the way through, which we have done before.
Saves us a lot of money.
Well, no, I'm talking about just one motion.
Administratively too. I'm focused on.
It will be on one purchase order.
Right.
So first area is a replacement and it's plumbago. If anybody knows what that is, it's out in front where we did lose 7. I think primarily due to the hurricane because they were alive previously, but 7 have died. And I would like to go ahead and replace those. The rest of those out there are performing reasonably well. So I would like to do a replacement on that. As you come in to Pelican Preserve, just past the 3-way stop, there's 3 new Dumbea, the Florida hydrangea that are sitting there. There's an area just past there that's just kind of open with nothing there. And I would like to put 21 3-gallon Petra Croton's in there just to give it a little bit of color, a little bit of splash. 3 gallons that will run $35 a piece. Just north of the 4-way stop is another area close to where we put several Crotons in that also open. Just looks like there should be something there. I would like to put variegated ginger in there. We have used variegated ginger in another area and it's doing very well. And that will just fill that area in, I think, within a couple of years. Behind the variegated pandanus, that's the grassy-like looking stuff. Right before you get to the 4-way stop on the right, we lost one YTT there out of 5. So I just want to replace that. The median is an area. The bougainvillea have not done well. And in order to try and make that look reasonably good, reasonably fast, I would add 45 bougainvillea down the median. And that's spot replacing. That's not wholesale replacing, although down by Sevilla was hit the worst.
Is that hurricane damage that they're not doing?
No.
Yes and no.
Oh,
Part of the problem is in that median, plants do not like growing in something that's 2.5 foot wide, sandwiched in between concrete.
And especially the one down by a villa, it's very narrow.
Right. That I have tried in one area, we did do this just north of the 3-way stop. I took out bougainvillea and put in grass. This was before this committee was formed. That was about 3 years ago.
That looked
Oh my God, I ruined the community. It was trashed. It was horrible. Yes.
Get a look there.
So, Facebook
looked-
just blew up on how terrible.
Don't you think it? I think it looks clean.
Yeah, it does look clean.
On
I'm not
Cypress,
disagreeing with that.
just as you turn onto Cypress,
Just
there's a
as you
lot.
go past the guardhouse.
Yeah. Okay.
I like the
just,
grass.
I'm just
My
telling
wife
you,
hates the grass.
that was the opinion that came loud and clear on Facebook is that we had ruined the community Yes.
down on that narrow strip.
Yep.
Down by the.
Yep.
Can't that be just done in craft instead?
Oh, it could be.
Because it's so narrow.
Well, what I'm proposing is, all right, there were bougainvillea there before.
Right.
All right. So, and we put some in,
And they didn't.
and actually a lot of those didn't die. They don't look good. And if you'll watch bougainvillea, I mean, 3 times a year I get calls, they're dead. What are you going to do about it? And then they leaf out and, oh, those are wonderful. You know, and it's like they go through cycles.
But those aren't.
Well, just, they're not doing well. But I would like, last time, I'll make one more effort. And if they don't perform, they're coming out and we're putting in grass. And just so you know, I asked Gateway at that time, it was, I don't even remember who was there. It was before Scott. But I said, what is Gateway's preference to that? And they say, we rip it out and put in either seashells or rock.
Oh.
I don't think people would care for that as much as grass, but that is how Gateway handles it because it is such a bad environment to try and grow bushes. And also, you've got your landscapers out there taking care of them, and those areas aren't too bad because most of them have turn lanes. But
Oh, I think that one area is so narrow that the bougainvillea.
I mean, as far as safety for the landscape.
Yeah, but also you're talking mulch. Yeah, I mean, if you drive down there at that stop sign there, it's such a narrow area. The root systems can't take. It's
So
never done well.
I would like to do one more try on the median.
I was gonna say, why, just for continuity, that you just don't tear it out and put sod in there? Like you did to the 3-way stop in the beginning, even though there was like people like me that were disappointed. However,
I'm willing to try one more time.
okay.
Because as I said, you know, walking down there, a lot of those aren't dead.
Mhm.
And I think a lot of them will over time come back.
Mhm.
So I'm not pulling all of those out. I want to trim them back hard and then add sporadically new ones in there to try and refresh it.
Okay.
But this is my last try at those areas. If they don't perform, they're going to be grass.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
I'd like you to consider Maui Ixora. They're a bush that flowers
Yep.
9 months out of the year. They
Well-
always look good. You can trim them small, whatever you want to do.
Maui, dwarf Ixora would be better in there than Maui because Maui wants to be 4 to 5 feet
Right.
high. And those by law are supposed to be in the 2-foot range. Maui won't like 2 feet. Dwarf, we could try, but once again, that is such a small area. I mean, the bougainvillea we're putting in are designed to be smaller, low growing, et cetera, but it is just a horrible environment to grow bushes. And plus the dirt in here is junk. I mean, it's not good dirt. I mean, so we'll try one more time. If it doesn't work, they're out and we have grass.
Yay.
Yay.
I'm for the grass.
All right.
Nobody I know likes the grass.
Too bad.
Well, in the area I'm talking, they do.
Moving right along.
Moving right
Yeah, I
along.
get it.
All right.
Can't win it.
Before you get to Bella Vista on the right is an area that, again, there used to be bushes there. They kind of died out, got pulled out. Now there's nothing. And I want to try Sanchesia. And by the way, everything I'm proposing, I've run by Fabian. He has said he will warranty it for a year, which I told him I won't put anything in if he won't warranty it. So these are things that he doesn't have on his normal list. So he has approved these for warranty, but some of these only, let's try a group of them and see how they do and if he gets comfortable. Sanchesia is a variegated, larger leaf bush that gets a, if you know what a lobster claw heliconia is, it gets that type of flower on it. I've got one at my house. It does great. So I want to put 5 of them in there. We're just going to put in 3 gallon, a grouping of 5, see how they do. If they perform well, we'll utilize them other areas in the community just to give us different color, different texture, a little different look. Any questions on that? Valentina, there's a homeowner in Valentina that we actually have the front part of his yard. Along the street, our easement covers the row of bushes and a little bit beyond into his yard. And he said last year that a lot of it had died. He was correct. And so we replaced Ixora and firebush in there, of which most of the firebush died. So he is not happy about that, which I don't blame him. So, and it is our responsibility. So I want to try a fire bush back in there again because that's what the rest of the hedge is. He's just missing a section of it. So we'll go ahead and put fire bush back in there again and one Exora. And whoever has that area, I want to watch it. And if they die again, we'll get them replaced under warranty.
So
What-
we'll get
where
a
is
copy
it?
of this list, correct?
Yeah.
Can you give
there.
Yeah, Valentine.
Good, thank you.
It's the corner of Valentina and Pelican Preserve Boulevard.
Is that what the fire was?
No, it's other corner. In the median, we lost a Sataki palm. We tried to, one died, and it's still there, but it's toast.
Yeah.
I would like to try a different palm, which I have one, so this isn't rocket, and I've seen other ones in the community, and it's a triangle palm. If anybody is familiar with those, unique shape, they grow in a triangle, and they're kind of a blue-green color, just an interesting, something different, and they will warranty that, but they generally do well from what I've seen. So I'd like to try one of those. Close. If we turn down Cypress Grove, there's a lift station there with an area that is just not looking good. It needs to be refurbished, in my opinion. And I would put 25 Nora Grant Exor in there. It's an area that will take,
Is that on the left side of the road or the right?
as you're heading
Outlet.
towards your house, it would be on the left. Well, there's 3 areas in that
Okay.
along there that, my
A
opinion,
little rough.
I would like to do. There's a fire hydrant if you're going down Cypress Grove on the same side of the road that we're talking about. That again, the area is just kind of toast. And I would like to put 17 magnificent crotons in there. They're yellow, red, green. I mean, they've got a real nice splash of color to them. And we have used them elsewhere in here, and they're performing well. So I would propose we do that there. Close to Cypress Grove, where Solera branches off. Indian hawthorn, it's been brought to my attention by residents as well as watching it slowly deteriorate. There's a group of Indian hawthorn in there that just, they've given up. And I would put 15 stoplight curtains in there, comparable to the Magnificent, but a little more yellow to them. Just mixing it up a little bit. We have used stoplight elsewhere. They've done well, so I'm pretty happy with those. So next one, for full disclosure, this is close to where Susan Atkinson lives. And I've been working on this for over a year and a half. In fact, this is how I met Susan, was because of an issue along that area. She had a black olive that fell down 3 times. And the last time it fell down, Ameriscape finally said, it's done. We can't stand it back up anymore. So you need something else.
It laid for a long time.
Yeah.
That's what they call them.
Yep. So full disclosure, that's the area I'm talking about. What we're proposing there, that's where the quad Christmas palm would go, 25 gallon, which is a much better price than field grown. And flanking that, I want to try a different plant, Mussionda. He will warranty that. Mussionda is a good performer here. I have one. A couple nice ones on Bellagio. Bob Geppert has a couple at his house that I put in. The only thing with Mussionda, they'll drop every leaf when it goes below 40 degrees, but they come back well and they flower great. So I'm going to try 2 red in there. That Fabian said he would warranty those. And also close to that same area, the junipers have slowly dwindled away to where they're just sporadic here and there. I want to pull those and put in some rainbow copperleaf. If anybody wants to stop and have discussion about any of this, just let me know. Along Cypress Grove, then, I want to try and put in a hedge of Snow Queen hibiscus. That's the variegated cream and white hibiscus, to see how those do. I think they're going to do well. Once again, I have one. It's doing very well. Other places have
What's it called again?
Snow Queen hibiscus. So we're gonna try a hedge of those. There's some unsightly equipment along the right side going down Cypress that we tried firebush in there and they just never did anything. So I want to try cocoa plum because cocoa plum seems to do well no matter what. And it's just to hide some boxes, utility boxes and things like that.
Is that the evergreen that's kind of got a rounded leaf?
It's the hedges
Kind of,
along.
kind of a rounded leaf, a little bit of a burgundy back,
Yeah.
and they actually get a small fruit on
Mm-hmm.
And they'll
which
change
you can't
from-
eat technically. but I
They'll
wouldn't
change from
recommend-
lime to burgundy.
Yeah, it's a
During the
pretty
season.
bush. I've noticed it. Mhm.
There is one YTT in the area of Susan's house that died. There's another one where we installed a pigeon plum along Cypress Grove that died. The rest of those are coming back, which I was surprised at because Ameriscape did not water them for a couple of weeks, which they really did not like.
Mm.
Along Prado, there's a big area of sod that died. And so I got it as part of the proposal, 400 square feet of sod to go in there because it's just one large dead area that doesn't look
Where's
good.
this at?
On Prado, if you're headed out towards Prado, it'll be on your left side. You won't miss it. I mean, it's
By the pond
no.
or in once you're in Prado?
Once you're driving down Prado, you'll see it on the left side. It's a large area. of
Is that
sod.
an irrigation issue?
Everything else looks fine. I think
Okay.
it's just one of those things. Also along Prado, we installed tree jatropha. 3 died. The rest of them, I'm hoping will come back. Some of them are doing fine, but I would like to put in 3 new ones, and they will be under warranty. And the soil there is exceptionally terrible. So whoever is monitoring that area, watch that because I want to get my warranty money back.
They do a soil amendment. When
Yeah.
We did there actually.
Great
We
stuff
did.
out there.
We actually put in jatropha one time. Almost every one of them died. We pulled them. We amended the soil where we're planting them, replanted them, and they were doing great. And then the hurricane came along, and 3 of them are done. A couple of them don't look great, but I think we can get them to come back. As long as the roots are good, the plant will rejuvenate fairly quickly. But 3 are done, so I'd like to try those 3 new ones as a replacement. That's what I have at this point.
So I'm looking on the agenda and the attachments are all quotes. There's no
Correct.
locations. So
Yep.
is there any way we can get your list so I can pull out my zone? I mean, going forward, we're gonna have to,
The easiest thing, because of what's in these R's, if I just walk it, whoever.
okay.
See,
Maybe in the future, can you do it by zone? When you do the
Oh.
list?
I can't.
So we
I
need,
mean, travels.
you just need a motion.
Go ahead.
Well,
We still have
Quick
question.
question.
If you're coming down Pelican Boulevard, we're gonna make a right-hand turn into Bellagio.
That island with 3/4 dead bougainvilleas. Did you address that?
That's in the Bougainvillea, and actually what I'm gonna try there is I'm gonna put in agave. We've got spare agave popping up here. And so I'm gonna pull one of those.
What if we took that bed in half and did annuals? Right here, coming up Pelican Preserve Boulevard, you're gonna make a right-hand turn to go to Bellagio. Right on your left-hand side, it's just pine mulch and
Yep.
that, nothing.
That's an option. Does everybody know where Vince is talking about?
I do.
I think annuals in there would look
You
Look good.
create another annual.
So is that in the contract that we just approved last meeting?
No, we have the ability.
just to change out something.
I just think the manuals would add color.
I'm game.
I'm asking for discussion. on
Yep.
this.
That's why I brought it up. I thought it would look.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It would look good
Well,
there.
before we do that, All right, is there any more discussion on this? On the plants that I propose? And I can walk through with everybody with their zones, so you know what's new and going in.
So is there a reason, this is Sherry, is there a reason why we stick with Bogo Villas? I mean,
They take a lot
Wait.
of work.
they just seem like they're not
When they
year round. They look,
look good, they really look good, and the residents like them.
okay.
Don't last long and they take a lot of care to get them. I
Like-
had 3 in my yard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I just took them out.
Like the ones in the front gate that are under the palm tree. I mean,
Yeah.
right before the gatehouse.
By the Bismarck.
Yeah.
Yes, they just always look
Like crap.
crap.
They're
And
coming
I
in.
get, and they're coming back, but then they go and then they come back
Yeah.
and they go.
And that's what
Is there
Bogo
something we
Villas
could go in there that could just give it a year round?
Well, you're not gonna get
presence?
really anything that gives you year round. Be a great plant. You got
Mhm.
year round out of it.
You could
I-
stagger plants
Annuals
that
would be the
bloom.
only
Well, you
thing.
can-
Right, I'm
can-
just saying, maybe we could
They
put some
replant
bushes
those
as a,
every
But you
4
can
months.
stagger perennials that will bloom at different times.
right.
Now, there aren't a lot
I'm
of
just-
blooming things down.
I'm just saying, that's our front entrance. That's when people come in and you want that
Okay.
wow factor.
But-
Go ahead,
Can I get a motion to approve these?
I make a
plants Before
motion.
we go on. Do I have a second?
second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
That motion's approved.
Mark, can we make your list part of the meeting minutes for today's meeting?
Well, it's already in the tax sheet. All the plants have been quoted
Right,
and are attached to the agenda. The location is the only thing that we need to. And before we get into modifying some of these other areas, I want to make sure we get through the agenda.
yeah, if we can hold on, I could put that,
I don't
on
have a
another
problem having
agenda.
that
No big
discussion, but not having a meeting in December, so I want
Yeah.
to make sure.
No,
we have time
let's
to
do
get
it.
through this. So that was the discussion of irrigation change out. Some of these won't take long. Colonial and tree line monuments, that's just going to a drip system, which is what we did on the other monuments. So then we don't have the staining issue that everybody is aware of. $1,500. I thought that was a reasonable price to go with the drip system out there. Do I have a motion to approve that proposal?
Cindy Watterson, motion to approve.
Do I have-
Rich Pagetto.
All in favor?
70.
Aye.
Aye.
The other one is. Yep, irrigation change out at the 4-way stop, which we just cleaned up those monuments, and again, get the sprinklers from hitting the monuments so we don't end up with the staining on those. $1,500 to do the 4 monuments. So far, the irrigation, the drip system seems to be working okay. Do I have a motion to approve the $1,500 proposal to change?
Motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Which one is this for?
7F.
Aye.
7F.
7 Frank.
Oh, 7F has it listed at 5,000. So has
That was a
that been
guess.
changed?
That was before I got the proposal
Okay.
from Skate.
So 7F, 1,500.
That's what the proposal that I
Got it.
got.
I just
I was surprised it came in that low.
who made the motion? Kathleen. Then Vince, you second.
Second it.
Now, as part of that, this is where we will have a discussion. Inside those monuments at the 4-way stop are areas or beds. And in the past, those were always planted with annuals. Occasionally they would put in annuals that grew tall where people were unhappy they couldn't see enough of the sun. And then when we were going to paint and repair those monuments, we did not plant those because they'd be trampling through the annuals, et cetera, and they were just going to be in the way. So where we are now is most people, if you don't tell anybody, they probably won't know. Those haven't been planted in like 4 months.
On purpose.
I personally don't miss them. Some people, I have gotten comments, do miss them. So the question is, do we start replanting them again? Or Vince has another potential solution, which would just be basically to somewhat hardscape them and leave them.
We would build up the bed. I talked to Fabian about this. I gave him samples of the rock that I went to this place on Metro Parkway. It's a gray rock. Build the bed up, and we'd never block the lights. We'd never block the sign, and you'd see a gray stone matching the gray monument, and save a ton of money because you don't have to replace stone. And he would take actually some of the dirt out and just put a more compacting dirt in, paper it, no weeds, because if you look right now, it's always weedy. The lights get covered by the plants, no matter what plants we put in, and the sign's made to be seen, not to be blocked. And be able one time. The four-way, the big four
Town center
monuments.
hall.
Yeah.
That it-
Oh, okay.
So the upper area would just have gray, nice looking stone that you're still going to just see the sign. The sign's made to be seen, not to be covered and grown over and the lights blocked. And the bottom area will still be put annuals every time they change them out. That whole bottom area have nice annuals, and the upper part is just going to be a plain
I think
hardscape.
people notice the annual.
Right.
And the only thing I'd ask Daniel, some of the monuments have one light, some of them have two lights. Could we make them all the same?
Depends on what conduit's in there. Unless I run more conduit.
No, but right now, one light works on one, and then another one has two lights. Can't we just make them all look the
Are they
same?
there or not working?
Oh, no, they're all there and they all
Right.
work.
Consistent. I've got 14 lights still left to fix across
It just looks,
monument.
yeah, if they need two, putting another one shouldn't be a problem. You already have the power,
Yeah.
but one has two, one has one has two.
You do that.
But that would be something I would want a proposal on, regardless of whether or not we leave, or whether we go to rock or stay with animals.
Do it in the pilot. Don't let Jay be here.
Is there
I get it.
would there be some sort of low ground cover that would be colorful or something,
Well-
rather than the annuals that?
If you put in a low
I've got
ground
this-
cover,
I've-
you're not
I
gonna
had
see it
a
anyway.
complaint given to me that there's no
Lights.
Either you put in annuals that'll at least grow this big, which is what we've done for 20 years, or you do what Vince has suggested and put something in there that you're not gonna have weed growth. And it's
So I
just
know, I've got a lot of feedback too, that why isn't there something planted in there? I don't think.
And that's what I'm saying. Some people want them, other people don't. And that's why we need to have a discussion.
Cindy Watterson, I think if the gray rock was visible, like he's saying, that would give you a nice clean look. Right now it's empty and people see empty. They think we're forgetting it.
It's gonna look in.
But if it's elevated and the colors enhance,
I had samples of it.
Might be-
Fabian has my samples. He never gave them back, but I can go get a couple more bucketfuls from the place on Metro Parkway.
How about we do this? We table it for now. You bring samples.
Yep.
To our next meeting.
Everybody
Yeah.
go look at it.
Everybody can kind of take a look at it, see what they think. And I would like to get a proposal from Fabian.
Mhm.
Write a ticket. That's the only way you'll get a proposal out of him.
So
Can
we're
I-
talking
I
junior.
could something.
Write a ticket
Okay.
and Ameriscape will give us a proposal. If you don't write a ticket, it could be years before we see it.
Yeah, and he's good at responding.
No, once you write a ticket,
Yeah.
they will get you something.
You put it in their system of record. It gets chased down.
So you
May
need.
I suggest if you're looking at the lights on that four-way stop, that I know we have new lights put in by Gateway, so I now have an LED bright light on one side and a regular light bulb that is warm white on the other. So as you drive up my bridge, one sign looks yellow, the other one looks white. So you might want to put that down and make sure that they're both, whatever you're putting in this corner,
Very
you've got the
standardized
same
up there.
lights.
We're trying to.
Okay, we're working on that to try and they're actually working on lights now,
Mhm.
so.
Ran out of parts. That's all.
Do we need a motion to table it?
No. As long as it's another item put in.
Now, can I bring
don't-
up one more lighting issue that
Let's get through
Which
the,
number was that though, Mark?
pardon?
Which number was that?
That was still F.
Cover that.
It was addressing the four-way.
Take care of it.
All right, G is just this is another one from Sherry, the Trentino, Ravenna. It's the monument, as you're coming down Pelican Preserve Boulevard just as you come in, and you're gonna make a left down Ravenna. Right now, it's primarily juniper that have kind of gotten overgrown with a picnic palm. Is that
That's
that's
correct.
accurate?
That's correct.
I had identified that last year as we needed to do something there. I mean, you're coming into Pelican, and that's one of the first monuments you see, and
Yep.
it didn't look good. So Sherry came up with a proposal, and it was attached to the agenda packet. And I reviewed it, and I guess I just have a couple comments.
No, that's fine. It's
Yeah.
totally open.
And you had proposed 50 blue days.
Mhm.
If you know what the blue days, that's a lot.
Okay, we can reduce it.
That's a lot.
Bunnies ate them.
And that is a
Oh.
concern. Now,
Ate them
think about
all.
it. We put
Really?
blue days on our monument in Portofino, and they're fine.
Yeah,
So they're kind of flipping a coin at times,
okay.
depending on the wildlife in here. And the other thing that you have on that one is you called it blue Nile lily, which is I call it agapantha,
Okay,
and it has not been a consistent performer
okay.
where I've tried to use it. That's
No,
just a
you're-
comment. I mean,
you're-
that's just a comment.
You're good.
Is this the monument on Pelican Reserve Boulevard?
Right after the gate. You come to the stop sign on the left.
Not the one that's further
It
up.
runs
No,
into
it's the one
Pelican
on the
Reserve
left.
Boulevard.
I just what it is.
It's actually a small monument,
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
smaller.
And that's
Small
why
median
50 blue
altogether.
days just seem like,
Yeah, no, we can reduce it. This is what the landscaper proposed.
Okay.
And I'm like, okay.
anyway, I would like something besides agapanthus.
What would you like?
I don't know. I mean, I
We
get
wanted
tired of trying to pick plants.
Yeah.
That's what you're so good at.
Are they gonna
We
remove
wanted
the
to
blue
do-
rug juniper that's in front of the?
Yes, we're taking out all the
That's for-
juniper. Yeah, we're taking that out.
Snakes live in there. I hate
Yeah.
that.
Does that get more shade or more sun?
It gets both.
It's both, yeah.
And you-
And so she has proposed a purple crinum lily. If you know what the crinum lilies are, the purple ones do not propagate themselves like the green ones do.
Is there
Good.
enough room on the one side for the plumbago, the blue plumbago?
At the backside.
Uh-huh.
Do you agree?
You could put that in.
But then, because the front side's smaller, right?
The front small, yes, very small, and that's where the flower bed's at.
We're still
Which
gonna have a small flower bed there.
Okay.
a lot of the
Okay.
plants have died from the
Right.
drip system. Is that something that
If
we're gonna address down the
we
road?
will, if
Very.
the drip system is not being effective.
Okay, okay.
But
Yeah,
if it gets enough sun on the far side plumbago,
It would be,
So-
the backside doesn't get a lot of sun,
No.
probably just like
More the front.
noon or 1, but the front does. Because there's a big oak tree on the golf cart
That's right.
side
Right.
going toward the gate. When I can't work with you on it. So I'm not very good at plants. I just basically went by the landscaper.
Well, and so at this point, I'd like to, let me take a look at that and
Okay.
I'll bring it back the next meeting with,
Okay,
most of it, I would go ahead and leave. There's just a few tweaks I would make to it.
okay. And that's fine because I talked to the, either one of the vendors that will work this in stages because we know we want to paint it, pressure wash it.
Yep.
You know, so they're willing to come out, remove all the plants. We clean up, pressure wash, let them do painting, the new sign, the
Well,
lights.
quite truthfully, if we just get the plants out of there, you could replant it. It's not gonna be in their way
Yeah.
because they're so small
Okay,
that they'd have an issue working.
okay.
And it's just quite, the picnic palm you want removed, you just
Yeah.
don't like it.
It's like a sore thumb.
uh-huh.
It's one and it's so high. It's just,
And
it does not,
that wouldn't need to be stump grinded, that'll pull right. Yeah,
I think they'll pull right
pull
out.
Yeah,
Mhm.
you don't need to stump
That's
grind.
a very shallow, small median.
and the one vendor talked about removing some of the dirt because it's too high. So he
Generally
needs to remove a little dirt to make it even. Because he said, you know, he would like to put mulch down and then we can go with pine straw afterwards, just to get a good, healthy
That
start.
was gonna be another comment. We do pine straw.
Mhm.
So if anybody in any of the neighborhoods say, I don't want pine straw, I want this,
We do that.
we can do it for the installation if
Right,
it's
that's
within our
it.
$2,500, but then next time if we do it, it's pine straw.
That's correct. That's what I said. Yes.
So we do have two neighbors, Solero and Portofino, have said they don't want lines drawn.
Which they've given me money in our budget to use. Well,
So right now,
Got
those are the only two HOAs that are not having.
Okay.
lines drawn.
All right, so we'll
So-
table this.
Well, we'll table that and I'll take a look at.
Okay.
What you've done.
And there's no rush, so January is
Well, it
totally
needs to be
fine,
done.
February.
It
Yeah.
is-
It's an eyesore.
It is.
It is an eyesore.
January, it's gonna be the first month.
We were trying to do color coding.
Good.
So monuments, what?
Yeah.
I said in January, that's gonna be the first monument I paint. It's the first one coming in the gate, so I'm gonna work from the front side of the community to the back.
Well. Right, so the H is a request we received from Matarita One, which they qualify for the $2,500 because they haven't redone their monument before. The only thing is the contractor that they have gotten the proposal from is talking about using variegated oyster plants.
Oh.
And my issue with that is they die.
They die.
If you put them on a monument, they will fry and they will die.
Who's the landscaper?
Brightview.
Okay, because Andy, who's been did Farina. I mean, I've
Huh.
actually talked to him. Had him no more using oyster plants anywhere. It's just a nightmare.
So what I would like to do is approve the funding. That I will tell them, pick something else besides oyster plants because they will be dead within a year. And then they'll complain because their monument is not looking good. So
Need a motion?
I would like to make a motion that we approve $2,500 from Matarita One to redo the.
Cindy Watterson, making a motion to approve.
Vince Pagetto, second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And
I
I,
have a question.
okay,
So aren't we going to have them painted before they put in plans?
they
I
don't have
thought
to
we had
be,
discussed that.
they don't have to be, like I said, just like the one that Sherry was talking about. If you clean out that monument and just put in new plants, they're so small. Would it be easier if the plants weren't there? Yeah, they could walk anywhere, but
Honestly, if I could catch it right before they got planted, so I could schedule right before. So who cares if I destroy what's coming out
yeah.
in pressure washing and or painting? I just would
Oh,
hate.
Yeah, I'm not.
To the painting schedule.
Yeah.
I'm not saying
I'll work
it's
with
not
Mark
happening.
to schedule that. That's not a big.
A comment related to what Dan just said. I'm familiar with the Matarita One.
Okay.
The plantings that are in there right now are so high. I think it would be difficult to paint.
No, we're gonna go ahead and say, go ahead and pull them out. We're just talking about timing as far as.
The new
putting
one.
them out. All right, so that is what we have on our agenda. And I just have a couple quick FYIs. The annuals get pulled out on Monday. They're starting to look bad. And Fabian actually asked, do you want them in for a little bit longer or can I go ahead and pull them? What they like to do is they pull them all out and let the beds sit and they treat them before they put in the new ones. And that's their normal schedule. I don't want to try and rush to get something done and then not have the treatment be appropriate. We'll get complaints either way.
Yeah.
So anyway, the new ones will be installed December 3rd and 4th. Just a comment, what they're pulling out are Penta, which some of them look really good yet. And Penta are what I call a short-term perennial. You can get potentially years out of Penta. So, in my opinion, if anybody wants Penta from monuments that we're in charge of, they're going to get pulled out on Monday. If some of them disappeared before Monday and they can use them at their own house,
They'll come back.
go for it. Does anybody have any problems with that? Because
So all the monuments and all of the development be pulled out Monday.
correct. If you can use Penta at your house, your neighbor's house, wherever, otherwise they get composted. And some of them are still good and will potentially stay good.
People are taking them back.
Yes.
For closing comments. Yeah.
No, well, we're not done yet.
Oh, no, I don't have any.
Okay, mulch will be done December 19th through the 23rd. So if you get any questions on that, it's scheduled.
Can I go back? What kind of flowers are they planting?
They are planting sun impatiens. I told them we wanted primarily red and white for the Christmas holidays. And there's a candy one, which is actually a variegated flower that is red and white. So Fabian did call and say, are these okay? Back in Cyprus, they are going to put in a few purples and things like that, but predominantly they'll be red
Good choice.
and sun impatiens.
By the way, before I forget, Chris, good pick on Christmas
Yeah.
decoration.
Oh,
You changed it.
thank you.
And you want to give a brief update?
Oh,
Yeah, I'm telling you,
thanks.
it's not.
They're still working on it right now. We have, I would say, 90% done. I've talked to Daniel. We have a problem at the gatehouse. We have 8 outlets that are not working. That's our entire gatehouse. We cannot light up in front of the gatehouse. We cannot light up on the sides of the gatehouse. Supposedly, they're going to try to show up today, the electrician. Hopefully he does. Barring any kind of emergencies, we're trying to, outdoor necessities has been coming almost daily because they want to try the lights before we put them on for Thanksgiving. So the rush is on. This is the problem. They have, I think, 1 roundabout or 2 to finish yet. I talked to them this morning. I'm in contact with them every day. As you see, it was a slow process because he has so many other communities at the same time. My first time doing it, because I thought it would be pretty much here, this is done, and then this is done, but it's jumping between gateways and ours and
Everybody else.
yes. So, very responsive, cares very much about what it's going to look like, which is great, what we want for our money. And there should be more bows put up, I think, today. And then he's trying to get back Monday. If the electrician can't show today, he has told me, hopefully he would be Monday.
Yeah.
So I called him yesterday, followed up with an email. So he had specifics.
Talk to him as well. He knows it's not the issues that we have at the entryway there at the gatehouse. They've been working on them nonstop since I've started working here. Every time I turn around, there's something that's faulty in that system. So every time I think I get something fixed, something else kind of it's whack-a-mole, right?
But it's odd
So
that they're all
I'm actually thinking about
connected.
in the upcoming years as we go through this again is to think about the battery packs at that area, just because why rely on a faulty system when you can just have the battery pack set up and going. So, and I have seen the lights with the battery pack.
With the light.
But
Christmas.
but we do have
Just at the guardhouse.
a majority of them are battery packs this year. But to add the guardhouse, that would increase our quote just for next year's comments. But a lot of them are battery packs. Some do not need replaced. Some he will do after 20 days. He will come out and make sure everything's running and working.
Yeah.
This is a major enhancement because we've never had our monuments lit.
Yeah.
We put the garland, but we've never been lit.
Yep.
So this year it's gonna be a major
Right.
change.
And we've
Right.
added
It all
some
goes
other,
up.
some other lights, some different color bows, trying to make it happier.
Thanks,
Well, I want
thanks to all of
people.
Cindy's efforts on.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
I've noticed
Looks
it's
wonderful.
Really looking.
I get that electric.
I'll keep leaning on the
They've been
electric.
out here.
He's very responsive for the most part.
Oh, he was very surprised when I called because we've been emailing him.
Daniel,
Do
can we,
that.
can we run off the generator?
What line item does this come out of?
There's
It's
a-
Christmas.
there's a-
Yeah.
There's a
Specific.
$25,000
Christmas light. Well, let's see.
Let's get through this year. Yeah. No, we didn't. We
No,
we
it's
kept
the
it
same.
a couple thousand.
No.
No, it's the same.
No, kept it the
We got a
same.
whole lot more for the same.
Yeah, exactly. We
Yeah.
shopped.
Thanks to Cindy, I was able to use it on the gateway side because Chelsea was
Thank you.
trying.
Think over that. I hate to thank up for anything.
Chelsea was trying to get me to internally put up lights, and I was like, you know how many manpower hours I'm going to
Yeah.
put up lights, taking time to put up lights that I could be doing anything else. So I was able to actually jump off and do the exact same vendor as we did over here. So
Right. You have anything, Kathleen?
I would like us, we don't have to do it today, but when we meet again in January, to further discuss the more things that come to light since last time we voted. I'm looking at trying at least several months of alternate meetings.
Okay.
for this group.
We
You had brought it up in the past.
we've looked at it. The problem that we're having is the date we struggled to get through what we needed to get through, having meetings. We're not meeting in December because of the holidays, so.
So I'll
Yeah,
wait
and
till then.
obviously, nobody wants to go to more
We'll start
meetings
seeing
than
zones
what
and
we
all
need
that.
to, so.
Well, and it isn't even just that, looking at costs where
Yeah.
we can, but once also, because we're starting in zones, I didn't bring it forward today because I wanted to get acclimated on how to work.
Sherry, anything else?
I'm good, thank you.
Yes, on an agenda item for January, we have to vote if we want to keep outdoor necessities. Because it's a very timely,
Okay, can you
Vote.
submit that as
Yes,
an
I
agenda
will.
item? Daniel, is there anything you want to bring up?
Can I go last?
Okay,
Okay, I have a thought. The four monuments that we've been talking about with the stone, the flowers in front of it. Behind each monument are some really tall, nice looking palm trees. What about putting some lights on those in the ground and light them up from behind the monuments?
uplighting.
Uplightings.
uplighting.
Same way that we have as
About
the.
Christmas lights.
No. No, I'll personally climb the tree.
Done in 3 days?
But no permanent
That's a great idea.
uplighting
Okay.
behind the monuments to hit
Washingtonians.
to hit the
Yes.
trees.
They're so pretty.
They are.
Those are, I'm sure they're probably pretty expensive.
Yeah, power on the monuments.
Not enough.
Ed, you're being a Grinch.
Not even for LED.
For LED, low.
It'd be cool, but it would take.
There used to be lights back there. If you go wandering behind those monuments, you'll kick one. They're the big can monster
You should
lights.
replace the ones
And
up
I don't
front
know
that I
whatever
found.
happened to them.
And those look, when you pull in on the left-hand
Mm-hmm.
side, those were never lit up. They've been here, what, 7-8 years. And I found the lights, he replaced them with LED. And if we could do the same behind, so the lines are there, the power's there.
Can we look at it?
We can look
Yeah,
at
at this point, this, somebody gives.
yes. And you don't have to light them all up, just
Yeah.
behind the monuments.
Mhm.
And I think that would,
Like a
that would
party.
really,
Great.
really,
Anything else?
no.
I have
Nothing.
something, please.
Oh,
Hold
hang on.
Just a second, Bruce.
I don't have anything. Just thank you everyone for helping me along.
Okay, Bruce.
Your turn.
Something real quick. Did the raising of the flags ever get resolved? Because I took it upon myself to approach Tom Shana, who's the head of the flag brigade, and asked him if he would be able to find us a volunteer.
Well, we were
Because
looking at,
last we spoke, it was not the security company's responsibility. Gateway was going to bill us for man hours to raise and lower the flag as needed. So is there any update on where?
Yeah, I've got
that's
an update for that, Bruce. So GSCDD is going to maintain the flags, all minus the Pelican flag. And then the actual raising and dropping of it, we were able to put it into the guard orders for the guardhouse. They've received the website that basically says you can do a subscription and it kicks an email every day to tell you what's at half mast and when it's not. And they've agreed to monitor that and to raise and lower the flag. They may need some prompting to remember for a while, and I'll try to stay on top of that. Florida very rarely goes to a half mast unless it's a holiday. So unlike some of you can follow all 50 states. I'll tell you that thing will light your email up. So when you go to subscribe, I sent that out to everybody's district email just in case you wanted to know for your own personal use. I didn't mean to spam you. I just wanted to make sure everybody knew that there's a website out there that you can subscribe to for those flags. And that's what I do even on the Gateway side, because we have 3 major flags over there that we raise and drop throughout the year based off of the ordinance for the state and for the national flags.
all right, Bruce, we got that result. Anything else?
Yes, sir.
Just have one more thing. I'm sorry. I just want to say thanks to Bob. You know, and I really appreciate the
My pleasure.
time together for the community.
On the flag issue, though, we have a light on the flag, so it stays up all the time, correct?
Yes.
So you're only talking about lowering it like Memorial Day or
Half
whatever
half
other
mast.
holidays that it has to go down. Got it.
No, what I'm trying to do with those flags in the past is when if any of the flags across the board, they deteriorated, wind, weather, whatever it got into it, then they would order a flag. I'm trying to order a bunch to have on hand so that when one gets to a point that needs to be retired, we'll pull it down and have one on hand. And then that's when we order another one to replace. So
Florida flag, pretty bad.
yeah, it's on order right now. I've already got one, but what I'm trying to do is get ahead of it. So I just keep bench stock on hand for flags. So when they do get to that point, I can plop them out.
Ed,
Daniel, did the vision problem at the Prado roundabout get addressed?
in my opinion, yes. I trimmed that back.
I've lost track of it, so I was just curious. And I know it came up in safety and security a few months ago about where on Cypress Grove, the cart path, where it crosses to the pump house.
Yep.
On the side there, there's bushes or something that block the vision of the cars coming up from Pelican. I don't know if somebody could take a look at that, see if there's something.
I'll walk by it and take a look. Okay.
It's,
Wonder that's why they hit the pole there.
The first part,
I'm sure.
yeah,
Everybody's aware. Earlier in the week or last week,
ago.
yeah, somebody coming down there, coming towards Pelican Preserve Boulevard, ended up taking out a full-blown light pole, went right through it, put it right into the bushes. So it's coned off right now. I did get the golf cart crossing path back up. There was 2 signs. They didn't just hit one. They hit a sign plus a pole for lights. So trying to work with Bentley right now to find a replacement pole for it. So I'm just being overly communicative here. So if anybody has, friends asking about it, please let them know that we're trying to work on.
but what we're told in the safety and security is that a lot of the golf carts are, because there's problems seeing to cross there at the pump house, they're actually, when they come off or whatever,
Ibis,
that
Ibis, number
yeah,
8.
they go right up.
We
at
we
it,
do
or
diagonal.
Go across that intersection.
We're all guilty of it.
And probably never stop. They say it's because they can't see when they get up to.
No,
Well,
gentleman that hit, I think it was a medical issue.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he thought he hit the brake, he hit the gas, and thank God nobody was on the sidewalk because they would have been pushed no longer.
Jim,
One question and one comment, if I may. Question is, what was the dollar amount on 7D?
7,000,
well,
7,000,
what we added.
not to exceed.
It's gonna end up closer to 9.
Okay. So the comment then, if Dan has any inclination, I'd be happy to talk to you about flags, because I used to own a flag and flagpole company.
Mhm.
Not all flags are made the same, believe me.
I agree.
So, and like, for example, the Florida flag center, where you get it, it's gonna wear out a lot faster than the US flag, but because of the way they're made. So I'd be happy to talk to you about how to save money.
Awesome. Yeah.
Cindy, you had something?
No,
I thought you did. Nope. All right.
Just one thing, general information. Everybody's aware we're trying to cut out on our calls, to be more efficient as we can. To that end, made a request yesterday to the district. That is, they are reporting to all of our subcommittees what our maintenance people do. Change, make sure I'm saying it's right, that we're in agreement. The change will be in the weekly report's gonna document the monument they do. By number, or the cul-de-sac by number, or the electric pole or whatever. The definition is gonna come in a weekly report, not on the spreadsheet. The SharePoint spreadsheet is gonna be handled by Kathleen. And she's gonna get this weekly report and put in there what's done. We didn't want a duplication of effort by the district. Mark's doing a good job over there of reporting what he does, but it wasn't coming in the right format. We've asked for consideration, and they said they'll do that for us.
Thank you.
And again, it's all trying to cut down on the amount of money we pay the district, which went up last year, between 100 to 200% for every person. That's not set in stone, but that's what the starting point is, and that's what we're trying to collectively get back down, get it in control. And that's another reason, Kathleen's point about the meetings bi-monthly. Bonds is going to quarterly, but they're stable, predictable, and they can do that. Safety and security needs it every month. And hopefully sometime this year, we can transition to a broader one. That's it. It's all based on cost.
And the reason for, and you brought it a long time ago, both of you, about the traceability of that. So I have to get that data because in the future, if none of us are here and a group comes forward, unbeknownst to them, they could all change and say, we need our monument redone. We need the planning. And we were the first ones and now we're the oldest. Well, you have to have traceability and a record somewhere to prove it. And it hasn't been done in the past and we just need to. And it also helps with accountability on finances. So,
I have updated it to its current.
okay, thank you.
And we have a new document called SharePoint that I gotta tell you, I'm not totally familiar with.
No, I'm not either.
But as we become acclimated to that, all the data is available to every resident. Nothing private, nothing secret.
Yep.
We'll all know. So we need to maybe have a tutorial on that sometime next year.
Yeah.
All right, I've got last thing for closing comments. C-Click Fix. Residents are now very in tune with the fact that C-Click Fix exists out there for putting in requests. I'm not really seeing too much of an uptick for the landscaping side of the house. I'm still trying to work with our vendor to be able to give people access on the committees, to be able to view other than just getting the email to say what the complaint was or what the request was. Trying to work that out so that everybody on the committees can be able to see those and be able to better manage it, be able to pull a report from it. Right now it's basically a phone tag game where somebody puts in a request. I try to get with the chair goes out, talks to a vendor, and I need to make sure that that's being a closed loop. Mark does a great job of coming back and telling me when things have been closed out. I can't say that about all the chairs across the board. So that way I can close out the ticket in the system of record. Little by little, I'm still trying to get the Gateway side added in for GIS, but I've already gotten the Pelican side GIS added in there. So I can go to assets and assign them work orders to say monument number 1. I'm trying to get to the point where I don't have to even report Mark's time because I can pull a report to say how many people went out, what truck went out, what materials were used to fix the monument light or whatever at this light. And then there'd be an asset tracking metric in the system for our asset management side of the house. So, yeah. So there's that. I asked though, if you do receive an email from me pushing one of those items forward to you, it's me trying to not step away from it, but to not charge to have to go get into it and go chase vendors. And then I have to put dollar signs to it. So if I put it to you, please just give me back whatever information once you touch base with that vendor to a conclusion or a touch base with that resident to solution. And those, I typically drive agenda items forward. If it's outside of my spending authority, I bring it back to the table for the committee to make a decision on. For the record here at landscaping, I've got $1,000 for O&M purposes to play with. So, and I do communicate that with Mark if I spend it.
And all of the communities of Gateway do not have volunteer groups like this that do what we do. It saves us money. It's otherwise you gotta pay somebody to do it.
So
on C-Click Fix, we don't really utilize it in this group because we have the ticket system with Ameriscape. So almost everything is just a ticket to Ameriscape. There are exceptions. Somebody asked, when are we going to change out the annuals and things like that? And that's just
informational.
I just emailed them back and said, this is when we're going to do it. And they said, thank you very much. And that was the end of it. But then you have to notify Daniel so he can close out the fact that they.
The other one is monuments. So when something comes to me for a monument that's beyond the scope of, hey, I want to redo a whole bridge or I want to redo this, I push that forward because it's just outside of my approval authority. I'll do it if you guys tell me I have the authority, but I like to bring it back so everybody's all on the same page of what work's being done. That's all I got.
Anybody? Last call?
Next meeting is.
I'd like you to add this for your next month, January open discussion. You guys are doing a great job painting. You're doing a great job adding the flowers, replacing the bushes to make Pelican look gorgeous. The biggest eyesore are the Florida Power and Light boxes, the Comcast boxes, the Fusion boxes.
Well, actually, at the president's meeting, they're taking on those little cylinders. Supposedly Comcast says they're abandoned.
They are.
And so they are pursuing having those removed.
If you let those up, the
But
small,
if you stop at the stop sign, as soon as you come in the gate, it's the first stop sign, and there's a little cart path to go up to the town center. There's some utility box. It's square and it's like, it's filthy dirty and it's like tilted. You drive down towards the country club and on the left-hand side, there's a giant Florida Power and Light, which is an electrical box, and it's like rusted. And I mean, I'm just saying, we took upon our own in Trentino and did all of ours. I called Florida Power and Light. They wanted $100 per box to come out and paint them that belonged to them. We went out, bought the numbers, painted them ourselves, a dark green. Comcast, we did all that stuff. And ours looked nice in our street. But you go down Pelican Boulevard, you'll see that it's just our eyesores all over the
Yeah,
place.
Florida Power and Light is a different animal than I'm used to for the fact that I worked for a utility in Wisconsin. We would never have a transformer that's rusted through the cabinet. Down here, we actually, my wife and I contacted them and said, look at this transformer, here's pictures, it's rusted through, and they kind of went, yeah.
Welcome to
And
Florida.
that's just their attitude. I mean,
And
So-
not being the focus of these groups, all of our subcommittees, district has them. We don't have everything, but we have district has them. Unfortunately, they are not district has them. They belong to FPL, they belong to Congress. So we're working with PPCA and the presidents to get it done because it is an issue.
Yeah.
But this isn't the place that's gonna get it fixed.
Yeah, we've already talked to PPCA attorney to try to do something related to Comcast, so it's in the works.
Yeah, it's just to understand what our focus, what our mission, is. That's all.
All right.
Next meeting is January 23rd. It's going to be I believe there's a workshop at 9. And the meeting starts at 9:30, and that's at the GSCDD boardroom as it sits right now, according to Georgia.
is there a reason why we can't have it?
I don't know the reasoning. I don't book the rooms over
I
here.
think-
What year?
Yeah, I
Who does
wondered that
these?
too.
We've got a regular room booked. Yeah.
But
Oh.
you-
We'll figure that out. We'll figure
Yeah.
it out. But January 23rd. All right.
Yeah, and if it's there, then.
And it's at 9.
Yes, correct. At 9, because right after this, I go straight into the safety and security.
Which is another location. Just for
Yeah.
fun.
And where is that? In the.
That's at GSCDD. That's over.
Right now. but
Right.
it'll-
As of right now.
Get it moved.
In the next 2 months, we'll get it back in the community.
he's talking.
That one's,
Oh, it's 11 o'clock.
that's over in
right.
the other building where it normally is.
That there's a Bible group in there.
They're done. They're done by 11.
We could get in.
They're done by 11.
We got the poker room.
To adjourn.
Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn, Susan Atkinson.
Cindy Waters,
Second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Meeting is adjourned.
Thank you, Mark.
I've been,
Down here in Florida.
you wouldn't be allowed to